Odin gave his eye for knowledge, but I would give far more. Welcome back to Then2Now Celebrities. Today, we are setting sail for Kattegat. We are diving deep into the mud, the blood, and the glory of one of the most successful historical dramas of all time, Vikings. From 2013 to 2020, this show didn't just entertain us. It brutalized us, shocked us, and made us fall in love with characters who, let's be honest, were morally questionable at best. But how much of it was real? Who are the actors behind the heavy makeup and tattoos? And what actually happened behind the scenes that the cameras didn't catch? We have gathered the most shocking trivia, the craziest cast secrets, and the historical facts that will blow your mind. Before we raid the shores of England, make sure you smash that subscribe button and ring the bell. You don't want to miss our deep dives into your favorite celebrity transformations. Ready? Let's grab our shields. First, let's address the elephant in the room, or rather, the dragon in the sea. Was Ragnar Lothbrok real? If you're a history buff, you might already know this, but for many fans, it's a shock. Ragnar Lothbrok is likely a myth, or more accurately, he is a combination of several different historical Viking chieftains combined into one legendary figure. The Norse sagas talk about him, but there is no concrete evidence he existed as a single man who did all those things. However, his sons, Bjorn Ironside, Ivar the Boneless, Ubi, and Sigurd Snake in the Eye, they were absolutely real. They led the great heathen army that terrorized England. So the show is basically the origin story of real historical figures, led by a semi-mythical father. And here is a fact that ruins the brotherly love storyline. Rollo was not Ragnar's brother. Clive Standen played Rollo beautifully, but the real Rollo was a Viking who lived decades after the time Ragnar was supposed to be alive. The real Rollo actually became the first ruler of Normandy and is the direct ancestor of William the Conqueror and the current British royal family. So in a way, the Queen of England is a descendant of Rollo. Did you know that about the British royal family? Let me know in the comments below if you prefer the historical facts or the TV fiction. Another massive historical shocker, the costumes. While Vikings looks gritty and realistic, it's actually biker leather chic. Real Vikings didn't wear that much leather gear. They wore wool. And thank Odin, the showrunners decided not to use horned helmets. That is a myth created by 19th century opera costume designers. No self-respecting Viking warrior would wear handlebars on his head during a battle. It's just asking to be grabbed. Now, since this is Then2Now Celebrities, we have to talk about the incredible cast and their surprising backgrounds. Let's start with the king himself, Travis Fimmel. Looking at him as Ragnar, with the shaved head, the tattoos, and that crazy look in his eyes, it's hard to believe that in the early 2000s, Travis was the definition of a pretty boy. He was famously the face and body of Calvin Klein underwear. He was actually the inspiration for the character Smith Jerrod in Sex and the City. He went from a clean-shaven supermodel causing traffic accidents on billboards to a muddy, bloody Viking warlord. Fun fact, Travis Fimmel actually hated the last season he was in. Why? Because he had to speak. Travis famously tried to cut as many of his lines as possible, preferring to act with just his eyes and facial expressions. And honestly, it worked. Then we have the queen, Katheryn Winnick, who played Lagertha. You watch her fighting with a sword and shield, and you think, wow, great choreography. No guys, that's not just choreography. Katheryn Winnick is a legitimate badass. She holds a 3rd-degree black belt in Taekwondo and a 2nd-degree black belt in Karate. She obtained her first black belt at age 13. She actually started her career teaching martial arts to actors before becoming one herself. When you see Lagertha kicking someone in the face, that's real technique. She even did all her own stunts, often leaving set covered in real bruises. And we can't forget Gustaf Skarsgård, who played the fan-favorite Floki. Gustaf comes from the Hollywood royalty of Sweden. His father is Stellan Skarsgård from Dune and Chernobyl, and his brothers are Alexander Skarsgård, the Northman Tarzan, and Bill Skarsgård, Pennywise in IT. Gustaf brought a weird, twitchy energy to Floki that wasn't in the script. He invented Floki's strange walk and giggle himself. Which actor's transformation shocked you the most? Ragnar the model or Lagertha the ninja? Drop a like on this video if you think Lagertha was the true ruler of Kattegat. Filming Vikings wasn't a glamorous Hollywood experience. It was shot mostly in the Wicklow Mountains in Ireland. If you've been to Ireland, you know the weather is unpredictable. The mud you see on screen, real. The rain, usually real. The shivering actors, definitely real. The production didn't use a lot of CGI for the environments. They wanted it to feel gritty. The extras in the battle scenes weren't just random people. The casting directors hired local artisans, farmers, and even off-duty police officers who didn't mind getting beaten up in the mud for 12 hours a day. Speaking of battle, let's talk about the Blood Eagle. This was arguably the most horrific scene in TV history, perhaps even worse than the Red Wedding in Game of Thrones. When Jarl Borg is executed by Ragnar, the silence of the scene makes it terrifying. The production team spent weeks figuring out how to make the prosthetic back look realistic as the ribs were, well, opened. But here is a crazy fact. There is still a debate among historians if the Blood Eagle was a real Viking punishment or just a scary story written by Christians to make Vikings look like devils. Either way, watching it on screen was a nightmare we will never forget. Another intense behind-the-scenes fact involves Alex Anderson, who played Ivar the Boneless. Ivar couldn't walk, which meant Alex had to crawl everywhere. He spent hours dragging his body across rocks, mud, and wooden floors solely by his upper body strength. He said in interviews that by the end of the day his arms were dead and he was in physical pain. But he stayed in character. Even when the cameras stopped rolling, he would often stay on the ground to maintain the mental state of frustration and anger that defined Ivar. That is dedication. Let's rapid-fire some shocking trivia you probably missed. The languages. Whenever you hear the characters speaking a strange language, it's not gibberish. The showrunners used revived ancient languages. The Vikings speak Old Norse, the English speak Old English, or Anglo-Saxon, and the Parisians speak Old Frankish. They hired experts to ensure the dialogue was historically accurate to the 9th century. The Snake Pit. Spoiler alert for the death of Ragnar. When Ragnar is thrown into the pit of snakes by King Oil, those were real snakes. Travis Fimmel was actually in a pit with live snakes, and yes, he was bitten. Thankfully, the snakes were non-venomous, but still, imagine trying to deliver your final epic monologue while reptiles are slithering up your leg. The Seer. The ancient seer, the creepy blind guy who licked everyone's hand? The actor under that makeup is John Kavanagh. But here is the twist. John Kavanagh also played Pope Leo IV in the show. He played the most pagan character and the most holy Christian character in the same series, and almost nobody noticed because the seer makeup took 5 hours to apply. A family affair. Georgia Hurst, who played Torvi, is actually the daughter of the show's creator, Michael Hurst, and her sister Maud Hurst played Helga, Floki's wife. Nepotism? Maybe, but they both did an incredible job surviving the brutal world of Vikings. Vikings ended its run in 2020, but the saga continues with Vikings Valhalla. However, for many of us, nothing will ever beat the era of Ragnar and Lagertha. It was a show that started on a small budget on the History Channel and grew into a global phenomenon that changed how we look at the Norsemen forever. From Travis Fimmel's captivating blue eyes to the muddy battlefields of Ireland, Vikings was a masterpiece of storytelling. Now I have a question for you, and I want to see a war in the comments section. Who was the best son of Ragnar? Was it Bjorn the Brave, Ivar the Genius Psycho, or Ubi the Explorer? Comment your choice below. If you enjoyed this raid into history, please like this video, share it with your shield wall, and subscribe to Then2Now Celebrities for more amazing stories about the stars you love. Until next time, Skål.